Here's my review of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and as for my background with with the Planet of the Apes series, I've only watched. So I watched like the original like that early the 2000s trilogy only for the first time actually this past week in preparation for this film, and I liked all of those, but I wouldn't really say that like I adored them like so many other people like did. But I will say that I think that this might be my favorite Planet of the Apes movie. I mean, everything from the visuals to the characters, I just found to be very intriguing. And I don't really have any major complaints with this film. I found the villain to be very interesting, as it's basically is named Proximus Caesar, who basically is taking Caesar's words and just twisting them into this, make it like because this takes place like 300 years later. This is like the what Caesar did is almost seen as like a messiah like figure, like as a religious figure to these apes, and I just found that to be very interesting, and like how Proximus Caesar is like taking this what they see is basically this god and just kind of twisting it, because I mean Caesar says like ape like doesn't kill ape, and ape doesn't kill human. They don't want to kill human. Like at least in the original, Caesar never really wanted to hurt any humans, even if maybe he had to. And I mean, you have this who's basically like almost has this idea. I feel like of like I guess like maybe race superiority instead like of just exterminating humans, and I found that very interesting. And he's a villain where like, I mean, just his design is incredible. Just like from him just looking like a king is just very very interesting. And I just love the way of how how they show like this history, like just through a children's book they show like how apes used to be in zoos and how humans would just come and look at them, and it's just seen as something so ancient, and it's something about that. It just seems kind of this weird sense of like almost eeriness I felt of just seeing what used to be and what was as opposed to what is, especially with where the lighting and it just being a like children's book. I think kind of adds more to that idea of like how it makes it almost creepier. I don't know, maybe it's just me who feels like that. I don't know if anyone else really knows what I'm talking about. But I just think of like just from the way it is, it just kind of shows like this eerie, more innocent vibe, and then how maybe the apes would maybe see it as something terrifying. And I also love how, like with the humans, like because of the apes have evolved so much, like the humans basically devolved and they don't really speak and they just wrangle them, and it's very interesting. And I mean, the big reveal is of course that May, this young human girl, can speak. And it's very interesting. It just gives you that sense of like, oh wow, so okay, so like humans are kind of evolving again, and it's very interesting. Just like this whole world, just kind of a world that you just want to spend time in. Also, I think Rocco is a very interesting character. I feel like throughout the series, they've always shown orangutans to be kind of more. They have this more like wise, old man kind of, just in terms of the way they're shown. And I think that Rocco was done very well here, and he was honestly probably my favorite part of this movie. He's probably my favorite character. I just something about him I just found to be very interesting this whole time. Just him, I think like one of the things he says is like how he finds humans very interesting, and he kind of like respects them, and also how he's basically a very like religious person in terms of how he follows the religion of Caesar, which I just found this him to be a very interesting character. And when he's like talking to May, I just found all of that to just be very interesting. I don't know what it is. Like that's the thing about this movie is I just found it something about, because I liked the original those first three movies, but I wouldn't really say I really got what everyone else did get out of them. But I feel like this movie is the one that like finally was like, yeah, this is the one that's really pulling me in. And like I said, just the visuals, like the fact that this is CGI is just insane. Like that looks like a real chimp. Like that's a real chimp that they got to look into this telescope. It's insane. Like but that it's like every single frame is just gorgeous, and this is just beautiful. The every scene is just great, at least in terms of visuals. And also another thing I love is how we learn more about these cultures and like almost I guess ceremonies that they have like where at the beginning like they say like how to almost like I think it's more of like a kind of I guess coming a man or something in their cultures. Maybe you have to like towards the beginning they climb this eagle's nest to get eggs, and then later you kind of have to train to like have the eagles land on you and almost train them. I just found that very interesting. It's just like it just makes you think of like how far this culture has adapted, and it's just like the little things like that that I just found to be just like I want to learn more about that. Like this movie did such a great job of wanting me to watch more movies like within this universe because this is I think this is going to be the start of a new trilogy, and it makes me very excited. And like as for Proximus Caesar, like I think that he was a good villain, but I wouldn't really say he's like my favorite villain in like the of all of them. But I still think that he stood out very, very well. Like he's still a very entertaining villain. In a way, he's very terrifying, and he's just very, very fun. And then as for the ending, I'm just gonna go into some massive spoilers right here. I mean, been kind of going spoilers this whole review, but this is gonna be some really big reveals. So if you want to, just click off. Like how Noah and May kind of end up having these opposing views at the end, and then they kind of go their separate ways. And then at the end, we like May discovers like there actually is this kind of secret organization of humans that are still very intelligent and are haven't lost their like vocal like speech patterns. And it just kind of is that setup of like, ooh, I wonder where this is gonna go next. Like it ends like we're seeing like them use this satellite to try to contact like more humans and stuff. And it's very interesting. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I was kind of surprised by it just because I wasn't like I said I liked those first three movies, but I wouldn't say I love them as much as everyone else. So I thought that this movie was very good, a little long, but for the most part, I didn't really have any major complaints. I thoroughly enjoyed it.